This was put out yesterday evening, right as I got home from 8. This is from Chief David Njoku on Instagram. You want me to read the whole thing? A little sappy. It says, Cleveland, first off, I love you. That's always not a good start. These 9 years have been a beautiful journey. Even worse start. I am so grateful for all the memories we've shared together. Oh, boy, here we go. Thank you to the Haslams, Andrew Barry, and the whole Browns organization for everything. 2 exclamation points. All my teammates I shared the battle with. I'm so grateful for you guys. The time for me to find a new home has come, and all I can think of is just the gratefulness in my heart. The city of Cleveland will forever be home. Heart emoji, hashtag Chief out. How big of a loss is David Njoku? What's his legacy here? Tone, take it away.
Well, the fact that he's been on the team as long as he has.
9 years, first-round draft pick.
That's pretty rare in this day and age in any of the sports. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to believe. Remember, when he got taken, the whole premise was how young he was, wasn't it? That, he
was going to be turning 21.
He was 20, when they drafted him.
Yeah, and the fact that he had this lengthy career, was he ever considered a top 10 tight end?
I think at one point
in the league.
I think there were a couple years here and there.
Highest?
I think injuries got in the way. I think that I think that he's going to be an interesting case if he gets picked up by a team that has a quarterback and has a decent offense.
Well, people are saying Denver. I saw a lot of that yesterday.
And maybe that's a possibility. Now, Bo Nix certainly isn't out of the woods. Would you think? Is Bo Nix out of the woods to you?
No.
Okay, because his career, his 9 years here. Let's just be honest. It's easy to be flowery because 9 years in a place is a long time. And I think he was good with the fans, and he was definitely good with the kids who are Browns fans. And you and I saw that, personally. So there's no ill will towards David Njoku. But I think that there's always been a what if with David Njoku. And I do think that in certain terms, in certain ways, maybe he was overrated a little bit by us. I think that we were always kind of waiting for him to really break out and be that top 5 tight end in the NFL. And I remember conversations about what to pay him when paying came around. And tight end is a premium position that really I think a lot of people would be surprised at how much tight ends get paid. Franchise tight ends get paid. I think they'd be really surprised by the amount of money that they make. But it felt like there was writing on the wall. And I know that David had said what he had said during the season where he ain't bleeping leaving and all the other things. Things change. And I think that he's been told in no uncertain terms that it probably isn't going to work out here as far as finding a contract. And honestly, he might be looking at it 9 years in and say, I've already made a lot of money. He's not going to be starving with whatever he makes with his next team. And maybe it's time to go chase rings. I mean, you've seen other guys. I imagine there wasn't a giant offer on the table. Now, we could find out that wasn't true. Mary Kay will talk with us at 8:20 this morning. And if we find out that there was a big offer on the table or anything like that, then maybe he decided to say, you know what, I see what Miles has dealt with, I see what Denzel has dealt with, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go while my usefulness is still there. Because he has had a lot of injuries. David has had a lot of injuries, and his career has been marred by fits and starts because of those injuries.
They would throw those tight end screens, and he would have these really athletic bursts, and you were like, holy cow, a guy that size can move like that, and then that all went away. I mean, the last few years, he was in molasses. He was in mud. He had no
banged up.
He'd catch the ball, and guys were there every time.
Yeah.
And maybe you'd say, all right, some of that's the scheming had gotten worse or whatever. I don't know. He just didn't have that kind of explosion. So that was kind of sad to see. I mean, honestly, who walked around outside of Myles Garrett? Who walked around without his shirt on as much as Njoku?
Yeah,
his body has transformed a little bit over the years.
Well, this is the weird thing here, because we have this. This is interesting. Is you've had a couple of playoff runs here. You did make it to a divisional round once in 2020 during his career. We're starting to cycle through players that I think there's always a what if. And that obviously a lot of that is based on one particular move in 2022. Let's call it what it is. But you're now starting to cycle through it. Where Joel Bitonio, I know what somebody had said who knows you at a resort in Pennsylvania had said about his future. We'll see. I'm still thinking he's probably going to hang him up. If he hangs it up, we've obviously talked about that with Joel. It's like what could have been had everybody not have freaked out. I think some of that responsibility does go to the quarterback. However, what would have been with him? I think David Njoku, what would have been with him? And I think we're going to go through these guys. Miles is the only guy I think that's going to be left standing out of all this as these guys start to go away, because one guy is a first ballot Hall of Famer, and David is a nice player. David's not a Hall of Famer. Denzel is a very nice player. I don't know if Denzel is going to be a Hall of Famer. Miles is guaranteed. So with the other guys, there's been some really nice players. And this is part, I think, of my torture as a Browns fan. David's a good player. There's no reason to talk trash about David Njoku out the door. Yes, he dealt with a lot of injuries, and I think there's a what if there because of those injuries. But it's also a what if they could have kept their act together as an organization and be able to really utilize him in postseason play, making deep playoff runs, doing what we expected them to do after they were so bad in 2016 and 17. And here we are.
I just wonder if the minute fans saw Harold Fannin Harold Fannin comes in, and I don't know if anybody had been paying attention to.
I do think Harold Fannin lightens the blow.
Well, I think anybody that's listened to this show, like we were kind of sitting here, kind of talking about, is this it for Njoku? Because what is the role going to be here? He's not that old. Njoku's not, even after spending all those years. Like he
should be 28, 29.
He still could play the position. Why would he want to be stuck behind Fannin? And I saw yesterday already people pointing out that, Monken's here, so maybe that means likely is somebody they go after. If anything, I know I had talked to somebody and they're like, man, Fannin's unbelievable, but they might have actually targeted him too much. Like they kind of put him in harm's way because it was so much of the offense. He was so much of the safety valve.
So they have nobody else to throw to.
And like Fannin's good, but was he that like the I think he had as many targets as Travis Kelce last year.
Like that's why I don't think
his rookie year.
I don't think we're going to get a lot of vitriol, and I don't think we're going to get a lot of people who are angry even at the Browns, because I think part of this is just this is the way it goes in the NFL. And how big of a loss can it be when I already have one of the worst offenses in the NFL? No offense to David. How bad of a loss could it be? Because you're exactly right.
I'm kind of
the targeting of Harold Fannin Jr. There's a reason. You have nobody else to throw to. And so for David, he gets a chance to maybe play with an offense that has some guys that you can definitely use as a number one, and then he can fill in that role and really contribute yards and maybe contribute to a success of another franchise, and obviously get paid to do it.
Where will the Chiefs slam go down in history for Browns touchdown celebrations?
Well, remember, there was the one celebration he had that one got immediately cut out, if you remember that one.
I don't.
And there was, I'll tell you about that during the break. Owen remembers.
You do it again,
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
That one.
You remember that one? There you go. And then there was the Chiefs slam. I think to a certain to a certain age group of fans, maybe. I think it's a deep dive. I think if a kid does it or something like that, they go, "Oh gosh, David Njoku." I remember that. I think that's kind of where that goes.
Although he included the linemen sometimes, and so that made it.
Yes,
he averaged basically 4 touchdowns a season.
Like, what would the Icky Shuffle have been had they been a 3-win football team?
Yeah, you only know about the Icky Shuffle because
they played in big games.
Yeah.
And for David Njoku, who I'm pretty positive has had a better career than Icky Woods, it's one of those unfortunate things, I think, for a Browns fan that is the reason why you rip your hair out. This is a talented player. And in the end, what's your mark? Because you didn't get to play in high-level games, except for a couple. In over 9 years, I think that there is a little bit of bitterness with the fan base, and I think that there's some sadness there where you weren't able to maximize what he could provide because in so many ways you couldn't get out of your own way.